to the guitar collection. Well, it goes without saying, today I am holding one of the most legendary instruments on earth. And if you don't know already, this is one of the 154 guitars that the legendary luthier Robert Bouchet made throughout his lifetime and incredible career as a guitar maker. Now, it's tough to know where to begin, but maybe just a little bit of background on Robert Bouchet's life. He was an artist and a sculptor who didn't pick up guitar making until age 48. Now, through most of his life, of course, Robert Bouchet was living in Paris, France, but later on he met the luthier Julian Gomez Ramirez, who was a Spanish luthier that then moved his shop to Paris, France. They became friends, and actually he built Robert Bouchet a guitar. This reinvigorated his love for the guitar and playing the guitar, and he wanted to try giving guitar making a try himself. Of course, yes, at the age of 48. From the very beginning, it's said that his instruments were a success and that they sounded great. Even his first one was his companion for the rest of his life. Robert Bouchet went on to build guitars for the most important guitarists in the world, Ida Presti, Andres Segovia, and maybe most famously playing his guitars, Julian Bream. Of course, with a whole number of other people, Oscar Gilead, many famous guitarists. But of course, the famous Julian Bream was the one who concertized on these instruments the most and just really brought these instruments to extreme fame. And of course, Robert Bouchet's influence didn't just stop at Daniel Friederich. He inspired many generations of French luthiers to come, and also not just French luthiers. Him and the famous Granada, Spain luthier, Antonio Montero, became very close friends, even built some guitars together. And Antonio Montero went on to make many Bouchet model guitars, which actually became his most popular. Now, I could probably talk on and on about the life of Robert Bouchet and all the incredible players that played his instruments, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about this specific instrument, what makes it so special, and give you a little bit of historical significance here. So for those of you that know a little bit of guitar history and maybe are a bit of Julian Bream nerds, you might know that Julian Bream's favorite guitar that he felt like he could never replace was his 1962 Robert Bouchet guitar that was stolen from his car, I believe, shortly after he recorded the album Popular Classics for Spanish Guitar, a legendary album. Now, the guitar in my lap was built that same year, 1962. This one is number 88 of the 154 built. So you can imagine that this guitar is amongst the very best Robert Bouchet guitars, and all of them, from what I hear, are quite special. It's a privilege just to play on a Robert Bouchet guitar throughout your entire life. So it is so cool to be able to get to play this one and hopefully record a very in-depth review for you all so you can get a glimpse of how this guitar sounds. Like I was saying, Julian Bream even said, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said something about how his 1964 Bouchet guitar was great, but not quite as special or not quite as great as his 1962, which he could never replace. So, wow, I think I've talked enough, but now let me just share with you the specs about this guitar and a little bit more about Robert Bouchet. Now, this has a beautiful spruce top. Now, this guitar was refinished, but it has no cracks and no repairs. This is amazing for this age of this guitar and how much these instruments have been played and loved. Now, you'll notice right away in the rosette of the guitar, there's a beautiful green that goes along the outer rings. Earlier Bouchets and some later Bouchets as well don't always have this green. So this is actually a very special color. A lot of them are a lot more monochromatic in color. You will see, of course, his legendary hand design label here that says Robert Bouchet, of course, Paris, and the address. Now, internally, as far as the bracing goes of this guitar, there's a 5 fan bracing design. And then, of course, the brace that Bouchet is known for, which underneath the bridge of the guitar basically goes right along the saddle. And there are little notches cut for the fan braces to pass through. Now, his later guitars, this one included, contain that bracing, which apparently made the basses a little bit more firm and loud, and then opened up and balanced out the trebles. And this is what made this such an incredible recording guitar, and why so many people were grabbing Bouchet guitars at the time to make their recordings. And of course, starting at the age 48, only building 154 guitars, he had to choose his clientele so carefully. And of course, once you had these brilliant world-class players playing on them, it became extremely difficult, even at that time, 60 years ago, to get one of these guitars. Now, moving on, you will see the same motif that's in the center here on the tie block of the guitar as well. And if you look closely, you'll even notice that this is an ivory tie block. Okay, turning the guitar around, another incredible feature is that this is Brazilian rosewood, top of the line wood, no cracks, no repair to the rosewood. There's just a little bit of clouding to the finish here. And then when it comes to the neck of this guitar, it is rather, I would say it's a little bit more D-shaped and full. It's a very comfortable guitar to play with a low action. This is really a miracle. I feel that sometimes with these older guitars, it's just like, sometimes it's just a relic, and it's very difficult to play. This is not one of those. And not only is the playability very nice, but then when it comes to the sound of the guitar, it just encourages you to keep on trying different areas. And we will get to the sound more momentarily, I promise. Because we are actually getting to some of the coolest details here, at least some of the most exciting for me. Moving on up to the head of the guitar, you'll see that classic Bouchet head that he kept for all 154 guitars. And then currently installed on this guitar is a custom pair of Rogers tuners with the gear on the reverse side, like Bouchet did with his original tuners. And it's a little bit of foreshadowing, because I'm going to show you those. But this is a custom pair of Rogers with the hand engraving, just like Robert Bouchet did. And of course, also with these kidney pattern buttons, also on many of Bouchet's tuners. And of course, Rogers are top of the line. There's no one better you could trust with making replica tuners, but of course, much better functioning than the original tuners that came on Bouchet guitars. Now, speaking of original tuners, I have in this box in front of me, which you can't see yet, this set of original tuners that belonged on this Robert Bouchet guitar. Now, these even come with a very interesting story, because this was a French tuner maker. And what Robert Bouchet did to these strange reverse geared tuners, just like that are replicated with the Rogers that I have on here, what he did was he took these tuners that was made by a French company, and then he coated them in silver and then hand engraved what you see here on these tuners, this pattern, which of course was then replicated by Rogers in the modern day. These are hand engraved after Robert Bouchet himself coated this in silver. And then he often replaced the buttons with either bone or ivory kidney shaped buttons. These are ivory. You can tell from the wood grain in these buttons. And it is just such a cool thing to have the original tuners. Now, famously, these don't function too well. So it's worthwhile to remove them and put on a modern set of tuners if this guitar is to be played. But I am just fascinated by the fact that those original tuners were held on to for this guitar, and what a cool piece of history. Okay, shall we get into the sound of this guitar? I feel like it's a long time coming, but this is a long video because these are some of the most valuable and important guitars in all of guitar history. I feel like it deserves it, and hopefully there's a bit of interesting information there. Okay, let's talk about the sound of this guitar and do a few tests here. from the very first notes you play on this guitar, and I think you can hear it, there's just something so special about it. It's like taking the very best Daniel Friederich guitars and combining it with the very best Dominique Field guitars. And the better I get to know the sound of this guitar, the more I discover where that noble sound comes from that I always hear in Daniel Friederich guitars, at least the best ones. There's this nobility to the sound where each note has so much authority, but it's authority that also has this warmth and grace to it. Maybe it's just how substantial every note is. It just has this huge soundscape that it fills up. That's the way to put it. It sounds this infinite soundscape that you get. And what a palette of colors. Can you hear it? There's so many gradations of sounds. And they're all pleasant and useful. And it's so exciting to get to know the sound because you, of course, hear Julian Bream explore this huge range of colors. And now you see why. It's like this. That area of the guitar sounds great. When you hear sounds like this, it's almost unmatched. Wow. Well, there you have Adelita by Tárrega, and just every single part of it seems to sing so well, whether it's the first notes, you feel like there's anywhere you can just pause and it'll sound great. Then it started the major section. Gosh, that barred G sharp almost never sounds great on a guitar. It never sounds this open, resonant, and just full of harmonics. And then, gosh, this fourth string. The guitar sounds so alive. right, let's try Melodia de una Noite by Fonseca. Well, it's safe to say that I personally don't feel I've made a more special sound out of an instrument than on this guitar. And gosh, I hope when I listen back to the recording that it sounds that way. That it sounds as special as it does behind the instrument. Of course, nothing replicates sitting right in front of the guitar or being the person sitting behind it. But each of these areas of the guitar sounds so uniquely beautiful. I mean, areas of the guitar that you normally run away from, you lean into. Notes that you run away from, like E flat, are just beautiful. Wow. Well, let's try some other tunings. I'm going to go ahead and move to drop D. Before I go any further, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about this video, about this guitar. These videos take a very long time to make, so I hope you guys enjoy them. It's not just to sell the guitars, it's to record this piece of history and try to do it some sort of justice. So thank you so much for watching this. By the way, if you're interested in this guitar, you can see a full album of photos. You can see a full description for this instrument at guitarcollection.com. This is my business. Anyways, I hope you enjoy, and I'll go ahead and play a couple of tunes here in drop D. Well, I hope you've been enjoying these musical passages. And I also am wondering if you notice just how responsive this guitar is to playing a little bit harder. Like when I do this, I am moving the string quite a bit. And it is retaining that beautiful character. It's keeping, though, this nobility to the sound. It's just... so resonant. And I'm making sure I'm playing it in a bright way. That warmth, that inviting sound. Let's try some other strings. Wow, what a third string. And now I've already covered the fourth string some, but let's revisit it. This guitar is so alive. Let's try the fifth. That third is so beautiful. The swell of the sustain and just how long these notes, each of the individual notes lasts so long. It's really something. And this last string, the sixth string, talk about authority. And I'm really pushing into the string here, and it's not buzzing. Let's play a little quieter. Every part of the guitar is vibrating. Wow. Well, I feel like it's never going to be enough showing the sounds that this guitar is capable of, but at least I hope I've given you a little taste of the capabilities of this instrument. I am floored to have this in my showroom here in Austin, Texas, and I am hoping that you got to enjoy a little bit of this. If you are interested in this guitar, please check it out at guitarcollection.com. You'll see a full album of beautiful photos, whether it's these tuners, the original tuners, a close-up of all the different aspects of this guitar. And wow, what can I say? Thanks so much for watching this video, you all, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, hopefully with a guitar nearly as great as this 1962 Robert Bouchet number 88. Thanks for watching.